Okay, here I'm going to explain the U.S. antitrust litigation that was filed last week against Apple, as well as 5 book publishers. I explained this in class this week, but I want to make sure I clarify this, and so I've set up a chart. So we're going to talk about things like oligopolies, explicit collusion, cartels, the Department of Justice, and antitrust. So just as a quick reminder, an oligopoly is a market structure or industry structure where only a few firms own the entire market, and that can be dangerous due to explicit collusion. Explicit collusion, an example of that would be something like price fixing, where the 3, 4, or 5 firms that control the market, instead of competing with each other, actually work together in order to work against, say, the consumer and raise prices or do other things like lower quality. A cartel is nothing more than an oligopoly that is explicitly colluding. The DOJ is the Department of Justice, and that is the branch of the government that files antitrust or anti-competitive claims. Think of that as maybe anti-monopoly claims, and antitrust is the basis for the lawsuit last week with Apple. So these are the 2 models in the eBook publishing world. So this case that was filed last week in federal court is concerning the oligopoly and the collusion in the ebook publishing business. And so I have here 2 models, which I did talk about in class, but I might have made them a little better here. 2 models whereby the ebook sellers, how they actually deliver their product to the consumer. So you see in the original model up here, the book publishers will sell the book rights, at least, to the distributors. In this case, we'll call distributors companies like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Apple. Since these are ebooks, the distributor is going to be someone with a device that can actually deliver an ebook. Okay? And we're going to say that the book has an artificial suggested price of $19.99. Some of these prices are hypothetical, but they're relatively accurate. So we'll say that the book has a suggested price of $19.99, and the book publishers will sell the book to these distributors, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, for, say, $10. So 50% of the suggested price. And then what happens is, through competitive market forces, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, etc., have to vie for business with consumers. And so what they do is they set the price at just above what their cost is. So their cost is going to be $10 for the book, which they've paid to the publishers, as well as some overhead costs, obviously, for running the business. So they sell to the consumer for, say, $12.99. And the important implication here is that the entity that sets the price is the distributor and not the book publishers. And it's also important that we understand that the distributors are vying for the consumer's business, and so therefore they're competing for consumer's business, and therefore the price is lower, in this case $12.99. The new model, which is the basis of the antitrust lawsuit, goes something like this. The book publishers, so first let me say that the book publishers are an oligopoly. Okay, they are an oligopoly, and the U.S. Department of Justice is claiming that this is a cartel, which is explicitly colluding. And I'm just going to swing over here, and these are the members of the cartel. So Apple, along with 5 publishers. And so these 5 publishers have almost the entire industry in terms of popular books, and that is Hachette, Simon & Schuster, Macmillan, Penguin, and HarperCollins. And if there's an S in parentheses next to the name, that means that they've already settled this suit. Macmillan, Penguin, and Apple have not settled the suit. Okay? So here's the new model and the basis for the antitrust litigation. New model is that the book publisher now gives, say, Apple the right on the iPad to sell an ebook to a consumer. The difference here is that the book publisher is actually setting the price, and the book publisher is setting the price at that kind of artificial $19.99. So instead of selling the book to the middleman, Apple, and having Apple vie for business, the book publishers are getting together and saying, we're going to set the price at $19.99, and that's what the consumer is going to pay. Apple then distributes the book for the book publisher, and it doesn't pay anything for this, but it just has the right to distribute the book. And when the consumer pays $19.99, then there's a split of 70% to the book publisher and 30% to Apple. Okay? So this is very similar to how Apple operates iTunes. The problem here is that the book publishers are setting the model and the price, and the book publishers, the 5 book publishers contain, or control, I should say, the entire market. Okay, and so through explicit collusion, they are setting the price artificially high for consumers. And we say explicit collusion, what does that mean? Well, the executives of these 5 companies, these 5 book publishers, okay, have been getting together through email and at breakfast and in hotel lobbies and things like this, and specifically setting terms for this new model. And when we say explicit collusion or price fixing or cartels, that's literally what those terms mean. So when we talk about antitrust litigation and cartels, that's literally what a cartel is. The basis for a cartel is that the industry has to be highly concentrated, or an oligopoly. This is, and that the members, instead of competing with each other, get together and set terms that are favorable to them. And you'll notice by doing some quick math that in this case, the book publishers get $14, which is 70% of about $20, instead of $10 in the original model. And Apple actually gets $6, but it's $6 with no cost basis, so it's almost $6 of bottom line. And in the original model, they basically made close to zero because they had to compete with all the other companies. And so this is the basis, and this is the reason why the U.S. is suing Apple and the 5 book publishers for antitrust violations.